It's Friday, June 11, and this is your Barbados Today Evening News Update. So glad that you could join us. Our top story, he declares he has stepped forward to preserve Barbados' democracy. The words of Guy Hewitt as he officially launched his bid to contest the presidency of the Democratic Labour Party this evening. Hewitt, who mere weeks ago had suggested he had no interest in challenging current DLP President Verla de Pisa for the top post, said his love for country has propelled him to take up the challenge and to bring fresh leadership.
Today, comrades, is the first step in the journey to reclaim the soul of our nation. We need to renew confidence in the party of the Right Excellent Errol Walton Barrow. We need to restore democracy and social values and social cohesion and create opportunities for economic empowerment. It cannot be, it should not be that our young, unskilled males are faced with a binary choice of drugs on one side or cleaning the public road on the other. That is not good enough.
Bees Recycling Center is no longer a potential disaster, even as cleanup efforts continue at the site. That's the update delivered by Home Affairs Minister Wilfred Abrams today as he assessed progress at the facility with Chief Fire Officer ERROL MAYNARD and representatives from the Barbados Sanitation Service Authority. Back in April, the St. Thomas facility was closed to reduce the volume of waste. Abrams says while it will remain closed for the time being, there has been significant improvement.
Since the beginning of operations on April 27, 2021, of 4,552,722.084 pounds, or 2,065.08 tons of material being removed from the site for compaction and burial at the Bagatelle Metal Disposal Facility. I have to say that during this entire operation, the operator of the site, Mr. Bino, has been entirely cooperative with the fire service, with the Sanitation Service Authority in trying to get this project through to completion. And I am satisfied, having spoken with the chief, that significant progress has been made to date. So it has gone from being a disaster, a potential disaster, to being an unsafe situation that we can perhaps work with if something was to happen, but we need to get it to the point of being a safe situation.
Fire Chief ERROL MAYNARD told reporters the site is carefully monitored by the Barbados Fire Service, and at this point, there are no concerns about spontaneous combustion.
We haven't seen any signs of fire at the site. From the beginning, we had officers here as long as there were any activity, and if there were any signs of fire, they would have immediately reported to me, and we would have taken action. But so far, we haven't seen any signs of fire, and there is no indication that you will have any spontaneous combustion at this site.
Some of the waste is being sent to the Bagatelle dump, and Deputy Engineering Manager at the SSA, Leona Dean, assured it's being handled well. She assured residents living near the facility they will not be affected.
So we are filling currently the bottom of that quarry. What has happened with this material is that we are filling up a lot faster, obviously, than we normally would. Normally, every month, we probably get about 100 fridges. So you can imagine then getting probably about 10-fold or 20-fold that amount in a short period of time. But there is a tractor on site compacting and burying. A lot of the material has already been sort of macerated and crushed up. So once it is laid out in a sort of a layer, it really does not take up that much space. However, I must admit that, it will take time off of the availability of space at the site, but we're still fairly far down inside. We still have a lot of years at Bagatelle, and I want the residents in the surrounding area not to be concerned because we're covering and we're compacting, and when we're done, normally it looks like a football field. You would never know that the metal is there. This is something that's been going on over 40 years, so this is something that we're used to.
The $14 million Constitution River Upgrade project is on track and well within budget. Word of this from officials who today assessed the progress while touring the site. Minister in the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Investment, Marcia Cattle, is pleased with the work, which has so far included dredging and cleaning of the section of the canal that runs from Constitution Road to the Tudor roundabout in Halls Road.
So this for us, and hopefully for the community, is not just about addressing flooding issues. It's not just about making sure that the water is no longer stagnant and attracting mosquitoes and so on, but it's also making sure that there's amenity, that people can use the canal in a way that makes sense for them, in a way that they want to. I think one of the other things that's very important to me and to this area is shared by 2 members of Parliament, myself and Minister Bostick, City of Bridgetown. What's very important to us as well is to make sure, that's why we had town hall meetings and consultations with the residents early on, is to make sure that there are 2 benefits that the community gets from this project. One, apart from the issue of sewage and making sure that there's more efficient and effective sanitation for people living here, is also to be able to talk to people about how we are able to improve the areas where they live.
Project manager of CO Williams, Stephen Miller, reported that major work on the bridge has already been completed and they're now moving north.
And at this southern end of the project is the bridge works, which have the main part of the bridge works have now been completed. And then moving north, you have a number of culverts to be built into the embankments of the river. There's also a boat dock on the edge of Queen's Park, which is now in the process of being built. And then at the very end of the project, on the Tudor roundabout, there's going to be a new transition zone. That basically means that the water flowing from the old level of the river comes down into the new deeper level. That's the transition from 2 different levels. And finally, there are some new wetlands being built into 2 sections of the river embankment. The other main part of the work at this end is actually a new sewage lift station, which will help the flow of sewage from the Ellis village and from the easterly direction to cross over the river.
The first Barbadian-born Bishop of the Roman Catholic Diocese of Bridgetown was ordained today. Reverend Neil Sebastian Scantlebury was ordained as the 4th Bishop of Barbados at an official ceremony at the St. Patrick Roman Catholic Church, attended by dignitaries including Governor General Dame Sandra Mason, Prime Minister Mia Motley, and Chief Justice Patterson Cheltenham. The new bishop served early notice that he intends to pay special attention to helping the nation's children stay on the right path.
It will be one of my goals as I work with the government to help parents to be the first and best teachers of their children in right and wrong. A moral code that will make all Barbadians to be proud of all our children.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To regional news, ahead of the first ever World Day Against Child Labor tomorrow, Guyana's Human Services Minister says government will step up efforts to rescue children who are forced to take to the streets to beg and work.
If you can't provide for your child, do not send your child out there to be in the workforce. Do not put your child on the streets. And I want to pause here because we at the Ministry and Child Care Protection Agency, we are going to move on an extensive campaign to target what's happening on the streets where many, many children can be seen asking for money. You do know it's a crime to give them too. What we want you to do is to report it. We will get them off the streets and we will work with their families to keep them at home. And that work has already started.
Further afield at this week's G7 summit in the UK, Prime Minister Boris Johnson urged fellow world leaders to build back better after the COVID-19 pandemic. The UK Prime Minister said it's vital to learn from the mistakes of the 2008 financial crisis and tackle the scar of inequality.
It is genuinely wonderful to see everybody in person. I can't tell you what a difference it makes. We've all been going through the most wretched pandemic our countries have faced for our lifetimes, maybe longer, much longer. And I actually think this is a meeting that genuinely needs to happen, because we need to make sure that we learn the lessons from the pandemic. We need to make sure that we don't repeat some of the errors that we doubtless made in the course of the last 18 months or so. And we need to make sure that we now allow our economies to recover. And I think that they have the potential to bounce back very strongly, and there's all sorts of reasons for being optimistic. But it is vital that we don't repeat the mistake of the last great crisis, the last great economic recession in 2008, when the recovery was not uniform across all parts of society. And I think what's gone wrong with this pandemic, or what risks being a lasting scar, is that I think that inequalities may be entrenched. And we need to make sure that as we recover, we level up across our societies and we build back better.
That's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media and bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.